all the same, right? I mean, coaches and kids all have a great passion for whatever they're doing. They all want to be the very best they can be. And the coaches in each and every one of those sports pour into those kids each and every day to try to grow young people, not only to be great in their sport, to be great people. And, and you hit the nail on the head. Texas takes great pride in everything that they do. Football, a lot of times gets the majority of the publicity, and it's really just because of the amount of people that are involved. There are more football players, there's more coaches that coach football, and then you've got the drill teams, the band, cheerleaders. It's a community-wide event, but every sport in the state of Texas is really, really important, and I would like to think we do it better than everybody else with all of our sports.
My next guest is somebody who literally has done it all. He's been a head football coach. He's been an athletic director. He's been with the UIL, and now he's with the Texas High School Coaches Association. I will introduce you to Brian Polk right after this.
I'm Joe Martin, Executive Director of Texas High School Coaches Association, and I'm inviting you to join us at this year's Texas Coaches Leadership Summit on February 26th in Arlington at East Sports Stadium. You won't want to miss our outstanding lineup of speakers. We know this is the time of year that coaches and teachers sometimes get weary, and the Leadership Summit is a great way for coaches to be revived in their mission and reminded of their incredible impact that they have on their athletes and their community. As the signature event of our Texas High School Coaches Education Foundation, the message of the summit focuses on coaching beyond the game and into the lives of our student athletes. Don't miss our 2024 Coaching Beyond the Game winner, Coach Jack Alvarez, talk about coaching for a greater cause, and McKinney High girls basketball coach Debbie Harris giving you a plan for building a successful program. Visit our website at THSCA.com to purchase your tickets. And as always, thank you for all you do for kids.
Have you ever thought about doing your own podcast? It is the absolute best way to grow your brand, spread your message, and build your following. Fresh Media Works can help. We do all the heavy lifting, and you just focus on your message. To find out how easy we can make launching your new podcast, call 713-269-4620 or check us out at freshmediaworks.com. All right, everybody join me in welcoming Coach Brian Polk to the show. Brian, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Chris. Thanks.
Excellent. Well, I definitely want to talk about your role as Chief Operating Officer for THSCA, but give us a little background, just some credibility where your coaching background.
Sure. Well, I'm born and raised in Garland, Texas. I'm an old Garland Owl. Was a multi-sport athlete there. Graduated in '94 and went off and was able to play football in college at a little Division II school in Arkansas, Harding University, who did just win the Division II national championship this year.
Yeah.
But so went to Harding University and ended up getting a math degree there and played football. Like I said, I GA'd there after my last year of playing ball in 1998. And that's when my old head football coach, who's now the executive director for the THSCA, Joe Martin, had called me up and said he had a job opening if I was ready to get out and come to work. So went back to Garland High School in 1999 to work for Coach Martin and coach back at Garland High. Spent 2 years there, 2 really, really good years. I was pretty fortunate. I came out our first year. We won the state championship in 1999. I was a very, very small piece, if you could even say that, during that first year, but was really a great season and a great start to come out to coaching. And from there, a couple of years later, Joe took the Allen High School job. So I went over there with him and coached 5 years at Allen High School. Ended up being the offensive coordinator there my last 3 years before I moved on to Van Alstyne High School, where I became the head football coach and athletic director. Was there for 3 years. And then a good friend of mine had become the athletic director in Northwest ISD, Dr. Susan Elza, and she called. They were opening up a new school, Byron Nelson High School. So interviewed for that job and ended up taking that job and and opening up Byron Nelson High School, where I spent 7 years as a head football coach and athletic coordinator there. From there, I went to the UIL as the associate AD and spent 6 years at the UIL. And now I've been with the THSCA for a little over 2 years as the COO.
Nice. And so I guess probably nobody in the state would have a better case to be made for great mentors in this business and what they can mean for you, right?
You know, there's no doubt. I have been, and I tell everybody this, I have been so fortunate from the second Coach Martin called me when I was still in college that he had a job opening to be able to come back to Garland High School and start my coaching career there. And you wouldn't believe, I could name off the names that were on that staff, and not only when I played there, but the majority of those coaches were there when I came back to coach 5 years later that were head coaches or became head coaches from that staff. So, you know, you try to tell young coaches and young people all the time that are getting into this profession to you know, don't chase a title, don't chase an A, don't chase money. Make sure starting off, you've got to get somewhere where you can learn and learn from good people. And I've been so fortunate at the start of my career with Coach Martin and all the different folks that he had on staff, and then being able to team up with Dr. Susan Elza and the AD there, Steve Bubba Williams, and the influence that they had on me, along with the other folks on that staff. And then, of course, going to the UIL, and you know the leadership that's at the UIL. So I have been very, very fortunate in my career.
Definitely. And you know, young coaches may think us versus them when it comes to coaches versus organizations like the UIL or the THSCA. And first, tell me about the differences between those positions for you, and then you know, just give some insight into why it's more of a collaboration than a competition.
No doubt, and you know how it is, Chris. I mean, you're in the media. It's just folks see what they see, and you know, when you're not day in and day out inside of those offices, whether that's at the UIL, the THSCA, or in public education, you don't really know all the details that are going into everything on a day-to-day basis. So it's difficult for people to understand all that stuff. But, you know, the UIL, man, I can't say enough about that organization and what it allows us in the state of Texas to do, what it has always allowed us in the state of Texas to do. You know, coming from being a head football coach and an athletic director and going into the UIL, I, of course, didn't even understand all of it. And as I was there the first few years and we were able to travel across the country and meet with the other state UILs, so to speak, you see just how fortunate we are in Texas and how good of a structure that we have from a UIL standpoint, how Dr. Broddup and all the executive directors before him have structured what we have from an Interscholastic Athletic Association standpoint is really, really special. You know, the UIL is more than anything rules and regulations, right? So they're always going to get a bad rap to a degree. And but what they do inside those walls is really, really incredible for what we have in the state of Texas.
Definitely. And talk about, you know, people hear, oh, Texas has it better because they take football serious, but Texas, I think, takes athletics and extracurriculars serious, not just football. Expound on that, how it really applies to those other sports as well.
Well, there's no doubt, and Texas is better because it takes football more serious. But like you said, Texas takes everything seriously, you know. And while I was at the UIL, I was fortunate enough to, when you're there, I was the associate AD. You're kind of over sports from year to year, right? You take care of the rules, the updates. You run the state championships or the state tournaments. And while I was there, I was able to be the director of every sport under the UIL umbrella, other than basketball, swim, and dive, and tennis. So I was the director of volleyball and softball, you know, in addition to football and cross country and track and baseball. So you get to see those coaches and those kids, and we're all the same, right? I mean, coaches and kids all have a great passion for whatever they're doing. They all want to be the very best they can be, and the coaches in each and every one of those sports pour into those kids each and every day. To try to grow young people, not only to be great in their sport, to be great people. And, you know, and you hit the nail on the head. Texas takes great pride in everything that they do. Football, a lot of times gets the majority of the publicity, and it's really just because of the amount of people that are involved. There are more football players, there's more coaches that coach football, and then you've got the drill teams, the band, cheerleaders. It's a community-wide event. But every sport in the state of Texas is really, really important, and I would like to think we do it better than everybody else with all of our sports.
I agree. And then actually in talking with college coaches, what they tell me, regardless of the sport, is when they bring in an athlete from Texas, whether it's women's basketball or volleyball or softball or baseball or wherever, these kids are more advanced than the kids they get from other states because of the coaching.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, the education that our coaches continue to strive for each and every year is really, really incredible. I mean, we've got we've got a great coaching convention that we put on that we may or may not get to in this conversation, but everybody knows how great our coaches convention is. And it's just the amount of education from clinics and different sports-specific organizations that coaches can learn from, as well as learning from each other. Where a lot of sports or a lot of athletics in other states don't necessarily get together and talk about what they're doing. They're hiding it. They're trying to keep secrets. Our coaches do a great job of sharing and helping each other. And because of that, our kids, they benefit with that. And, believe it or not, you probably heard this too. I mean, college coaches sometimes will tell you that our athletes, while they come in almost game ready from day one, sometimes they're worried that their ceiling isn't as high as maybe athletes from other states because they have been coached so well.
But again, they know what they're getting with Texas, which is not like the mystery they get with some of the other ones.
Yes, sir.
So let me ask you this. Making the switch to the Coaches Association, what did you see different? Because the focus there changed from let's keep things fair for all the kids in the schools to the coaches and coaches helping kids. So explain that.
Yeah, and I think you're exactly right. I mean, they are two separate entities, although we have a great relationship with each other, and we're going to support what the UIL does each and every day because we believe in them. But, our association is about serving coaches and serving our members, as you said. Right. I mean, it's put so simple in our mission statement to help coaches help kids. And, we've got such great leadership at the THSCA with Joe Martin, our executive director, and Glenn West, our assistant executive director, and really everybody on staff to, we make sure every day that we've got programs in place to go do just that, to help coaches help kids and serve our public educators and our coaches in public schools so that they can go make a difference and make a positive influence in kids' lives every day. And the UIL is about equity. It's about rules and regulations. And we have to have them. And our coaches, they need us. They need our association. And we've got to make sure that we do a great job of actually walking the walk and putting programs in place that are helping our coaches and not just talking about it. And I think we do a great job of that because of our leadership.
Right on. And, I've been dealing with and associated with, thankfully, the Coaches Association since, almost 20 years probably. Mm-hmm. And it seems like every other week there's some new program that I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that. So what was the surprise for you when you came over and go, oh, they actually do this too?
No doubt. And, that's one thing that we're really working to do right now is to get out and around the state so that our members can really see what we have and what we have to offer. Because, when I first got in the profession, I was going to be a member and I was going to go to coaching school. Like I'm following the lead, right? I'm following the lead. And you don't look into exactly what the association provides for you. And we're trying to do a better job of telling our story and informing our members of all the different things that we do. I know y'all, somebody on the podcast earlier than me have talked about our 4 pillars. I think it was Coach Martin and how we put everything that we do underneath each one of those 4 pillars. And, when we count those things up individually, we've got over 120 projects, programs, initiatives, whatever you want to call it, that fit underneath one of those 4 pillars that we offer to our membership. And we continue to add to that. We've got to be careful so that if we tell somebody we can change or add a program, that we can physically do it, so that we can walk the walk. But we do have so much to offer to our members. And what we're trying to do right now is to make sure our members understand that and know that we don't just have a coaching school. It's a big part of what we do, but we've got year-long education and programs going on for our members throughout the year.
Definitely. And give me kind of the overview of what, as a chief operating officer, what your duties are.
Yeah, and it's somewhat hard to describe, I guess. Just to explain it this way, I am the COO of the THSCA, so of the association, and then Libby Pacheco, she is the COO of our Education Foundation. So we have two separate entities, but we can join. We work together. So right. I've kind of got my hand in everything that we do from an association standpoint. So you're talking about coaching school and regional meetings, POI meetings, all of our awards and recognitions that we do throughout the year. I work on sponsorships with Glenn West, our assistant executive director, and I deal with all of our advisory committees. When I came on board a little over 2 years ago, we just had 9 sport-specific advisory committees, kind of talking about our growth a little bit. And when Livy and I came on and we started to expand, we now have 19 sport-specific advisory committees that represent every sport, male and female. So, and we have a number of about 10 other advisory committees that aren't sport-specific that we deal with as well. So we stay pretty busy. We meet with those advisory committees separately twice a year, including those other 10 that aren't sport-specific. So, we have things going on a daily basis.
Nice. And you mentioned the advisory committees. What's the net result of those? What comes out of those meetings?
It's really the basis of everything, all of our programs that we've put into place over the past 5 or 6 years. So our advisory committees are made up of an individual that is a coach in that specific sport in all regions of our state. So THSCA, we are broken up into 8 regions. We've got 8 regions in our association. So volleyball advisory committee, for example, we have 8 advisory committee members, one from each region of our state. So they serve on that advisory committee, and we meet with them twice a year. And that's when we talk about, what we're doing as an association. We give them an update, and then they give us feedback from the different areas of their state, from their sport-specific coaches on, suggestions, concerns, rule questions, rule changes they may want to make. And those are all the conversations that we have with them. And that's where rule proposals come from. So if we have one of our advisory committees decide they want a rule proposal, we've got a process to where if they unanimously agree that they want us to write a proposal and take it to the UIL Legislative Council to see if we can't get something changed or added, then that's how that process rolls. And that goes through our board and then all the way up the chain before we go, do that at the UIL Legislative Council. But it's really our voice to hear our coaches throughout the state of Texas from each one of those sports. And it's also our voice from our office back to those coaches, because those advisory committee members that meet with us are able to spread our updates and what we're doing back into their regions and to their sport-specific coaches.
Definitely. And we've talked a couple times about needing to get the word out more. So I'm going to paint an imaginary scenario for you.
Okay.
You're on an elevator ride. From the time it starts till the time you get down, you've got to pitch something that needs to get out to the world. In that amount of time, what would you say to, somebody you're talking to could snap their finger and everybody knows it by the time you're done?
Sure. Well, I'm going to tell them we're going to represent you. We're going to represent everybody. Everybody's going to have a voice. Then we're going to go fight for you to get the things that you need to go be successful. Then we're going to provide you with personal and professional education throughout the year. And lastly, we're going to award and recognize the great things you're doing in the classroom and on the playing surface.
I like that. That's a fast elevator ride.
That's right. That's right. That's our 4 pillars right there.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And then, so let's talk about threats. What threats do you see going on right now that are because there's a lot of threats coming after athletics in particular, and particularly the way Texas does it.
Yeah, there is. And politics, unfortunately, are not something that any of us want to be involved with as far as with our job, because our job is to serve kids. And we got in this profession to make a difference in kids' lives. And sometimes politics does get involved. And right now we are trying to keep what we have. And when we talk to coaches and associations like us in other states, they envy what we have right now. But some of the things that we don't want, that they don't like, that they have to deal with, are creeping our way. And we're trying to do our best to stiff arm those and keep those out of Texas. And sometimes that's hard, and some people have different opinions on that. I mean, you see the political climate right now with school funding and school safety and vouchers and the transfer portal for athletic purposes and NIL for high school kids. Those are all really, really big topics right now that we are making sure we keep a close eye on is it good for our coaches in public education or is it not? And we're going to make sure, because we have an education foundation, we can lobby and we can go make our voices heard at the state capitol.
Definitely. And how about converting the minds of parents, legislators, anybody in the state who's thinking it's time for this system to change? But how do you go about convincing them the importance of keeping things how they are, and not like forever keeping things how they are, but keeping the important things?
Sure. I think we have got to do a great job. And when I say we, I mean, that's our association, and that's everybody in public education. That's our coaches, that's our administrators, that's our parents of our kids, of making sure that people understand the importance of community-based athletics and what we have in the state. But because we do have rules and regulations that the UIL has for us, we still have that community-based athletics where it's important to put on that school jersey and whatever sport it is and go represent the name on the front of that. And the folks in that community know who you are, and they come support, our activities. Where if you go to other states that have great athletes, Florida, California, and you go watch some of their public school settings or even their private school settings, there's not a ton of support from the outside. It's just kids participating in the field. And, that community-based athletics is number one, it's important for communities to come together. There's not a lot of arguing and fighting on the same sideline at communities. They may disagree with the call or whatever's going on, but they're there supporting those kids out there, and those kids feeling accepted and all the lessons those kids are learning because of that. We don't want to lose that because we believe in everything that it has to offer for young people. So we've got to make sure we're doing a great job of spreading a positive narrative of public education and community-based athletics and all the benefits that kids and communities get from that. And we've got to get others to jump on board because, as you know, most everybody is looking at social media in one form or another, and the majority of things on there are negative. There are things, we don't need this, we need to vote for this. They're putting the negative out there. We've got to make sure that we're putting the positive out there, and we're fighting the battle the right way, and we're not combative. Our Texas High School Coaches Day this year was a huge piece to that. It's a piece where, yes, we're celebrating all the great stuff that our Texas high school coaches are doing in all of our sports, but it brings a positive light to public education in general because you see these kids doing interviews and talking about the positive impact and influence that their high school coaches had on them. So that's kind of what our thought process is, and is being positive and making sure that there is a positive campaign outwardly about public education and what our community-based athletics mean to us.
There's a reason why at AT&T Stadium we packed the place with 50,000 people for state championships, and IMG Academy is lucky to get 7,000 at their state championship.
No doubt, and no knock to them, right? I mean, we're not in here to go back and forth. I know you're not either, but the bottom line is, I mean, people in communities want to see their teams. They want to see their kids grow up together. Now, we have kids moving from school to school at some point. I mean, it happens some here, but the rules and regulations that we have keep it controlled to where the majority of the folks that are showing up there, those people in those communities know who they are, and they cheer for them all year long. They cheer for them for a number of years, and they show up to support them. And that's also why we get just the general fan that may not even have their team at that championship game or at that fourth round playoff game, but they're still involved because we have community-based athletics, and they just support it in general, where that's not taking place in other states.
Definitely. And if you look at my career, it's been one of telling stories. And I think there are no better stories than these community stories. Because I don't know, it's just so much more personable than just this collection of superstars.
You're exactly right. And, we have great teams in Texas without recruiting, without getting superstars. We have great kids spread out through all over the state of Texas. And, we want to make sure, and we support everything the UIL does in keeping equity and keeping the rules that we have from transferring for athletic purposes and all those things. There's always some extenuating circumstances at times that allow for some of those things to happen, but they're built within those rules. But we've got to continue to support that to make sure we keep what we have, because if we allow these transfers that a lot of these other states have had, you lose that aspect of it, and people will lose interest in what you have because it's not elastic anymore, right? It's almost like looking at a professional team or looking like what college is becoming with kids transferring all the time. And I'm not against all transfers, but some of it gets to be go a little bit overboard, and it's certainly, in my opinion, not what interscholastic athletics should be about.
I agree. And what would you tell coaches who are listening, who maybe they haven't been around long enough to understand the THSCA? What parting thought would you give to coaches just in general?
Well, number one, I would say get on our website and look at the different programs that we have. Number two, I would say get on our website and figure out who the regional directors and the advisory committee members are in your region and for the sport that you coach in or the multiple sports that you coach in, and call them and get some info on that. Make sure you go to coaching school and the regional meeting should you be able to attend, because that's where you get a lot of that information. And, coaches, this, everybody is busy, and coaches have so much on their plate, from their teaching duties to their coaching duties to their before and after school duties. But man, we have strength in numbers, and the stronger that our association is, the better off we're going to be able to support the UIL and go fight for what we have at the state capitol. And we've got so much to offer. Just go figure out what that is, because we've got something that's good for you, and we want to have you a part of it.
I love that. Bottom line, get involved, because we need more people pushing in the same direction, right?
That's exactly right. Yes, sir.
Cool. Well, Brian, Polk, I want to thank you so much for sitting down with me and sharing some of your passion.
Well, I appreciate you, Chris. I appreciate you doing this podcast, and we know this thing is going to continue to grow, and you continue to help our association. Thank you very much.
The interviews in this show are brought to you by the Texas High School Coaches Association. THSCA provides to its more than 26,000 members access to the people, events, tools, and resources to help them thrive in the profession, become trusted leaders in their communities, and live balanced and successful lives. The work and sacrifice coaches do every day is vital to the development and success of student athletes. The THSCA supports these efforts. We fight for every coach, provide them with the connections and resources to improve their lives, and help all student athletes throughout the state enjoy lasting success. The mission statement is simply this: to help and serve Texas high school coaches as they work to help and serve student athletes. Helping coaches help kids. For more information on the THSCA, visit www.thsca.com. Hey, of course, I want to thank our guest, But I also want to thank you. I want to thank you for giving me what I consider the most valuable thing you can give, your time and your attention. And I know you don't do it to hear me. You hear it for the great messages provided by the THSCA. And hey, if you'd like to associate your company with the THSCA and the Coach's Call podcast, limited sponsorship opportunities are available. You can reach out to me, Chris Daly, 713-269-4620, or head over to my website, freshmediaworks.com. Once again, thank you so much for supporting Texas high school coaches. Please share this show out to everybody you can so that we can help share these important messages. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next time on The Coach's Call.